Hello, everybody. I guess I'm a real social media influencer now because I'm being investigated for a podcast. And I found out about it before the podcast came out. So now I'm going to be investigating the person that's investigating me. Why? One, why not? Two, I want to know why. I want to know why they're investigating me. So let me tell you what I do now. Okay. One of my friends from school, somebody I met when I was in law school at the University of Pennsylvania, hits me up yesterday. Like, who is this person that randomly got my private email address? And should I tell them nice things about you? And then I looked, there was a screenshot. The screenshot was of an email. The screenshot was of an email, okay, sent yesterday. Today is October 16th. This was sent yesterday, October 15th, around the middle of the day, 11:30 in the morning. This person titles the email, Former UPenn Organizer, question mark, and then addresses the email to my friend. The person says, hello, my name is Fiona, and I'm a podcast producer at Wondery. I hope this finds you well. I'm reaching out because I'm working on a story involving a former UPenn student. The correct way to say that, Fiona, is a graduate. You should have said, I'm working on a story involving a UPenn graduate. Put some respect on my name. Mama didn't teach them no home training. I'm working on a story involving a UPenn graduate who, like you, advocated for access to menstrual products at the school. Her name is BJ or Brittany Corville. I'm not sure if you encountered her personally, but if you did anybody tell Fiona my gender, my pronouns? Because nobody asked me my pronouns before Fiona assumed my gender. So, taking a point off. Repeatedly throughout this email assumes my gender, I will point out. I'm not sure if you encountered her personally, meaning me. Fiona's saying they're not sure if my friend had encountered me, but if you did, I would love to talk to you. Long ass hyphen. Off the record. Long ass hyphen. Why does Fiona want to talk to my friend from school? Quote, so that I can understand her and her background a bit better. Please let me know if you're available to chat. Feel free to call or text me at number. Thanks so much, and I hope to talk to you soon. Fiona Pastana, freelance podcast producer. Interesting. Okay, well, of course, I'm curious. Who in the hell is Fiona? I told my friend, I said, there could be any number of reasons why this person is contacting you. But what I will say is I went straight to my emails. Okay, straight to my emails. Search high and low for anybody ever emailing me from Wondery. Nope, nothing. Search high and low for anyone ever emailing me by the name of Fiona. Nothing. Searched high and low for anybody ever emailing me under the search term UPenn Organizer. Nothing. So yet again, here we are again. It's given. Here we are again. A second time that they got somebody running around here trying to gather intel about me, from my friends, my loved ones, my personal acquaintances from real life, my professional network, not only just contacting, but going into somehow obtaining private email addresses on private servers. That's what my friend told me. Okay. I don't know. I didn't look for the email address. Fiona has never reached out to me. Okay. Fiona, if you did, put it in the comments and I will pin it. Okay. But Fiona has never reached out to me. Very confusing and interesting to me why somebody that claims to have gone to journalism school, somebody who claims to have gone to journalism school would be emailing like a little rat, my friends, off the record with these long hyphens before ever even trying to, quote, better understand me and my background from me myself. Is this what they teach them at the journalism schools? I mean, I wouldn't know. I went to Ivy League Law School, but I did not go to USC Dorn's Life Academy for Journalism and Fine Arts or whatever they're doing over there. But are they teaching them at the Dorn's Life USC school? I want to know. Are they teaching them to run around and scurry about asking for comment off the record from people's friends before you ever ask that person anything? How you gonna better understand somebody without asking the person? Well, it was a great idea. Fiona had a great idea, so I started doing the same. I have now reached out to several of Fiona's employers because I've decided to investigate Fiona. Why? To quote, understand. Well, Fiona said her, but before even reaching out to my friends and assuming my gender to my friends, Fiona didn't bother to ask me my pronouns. Hmm. Interesting, just interesting. I'm just interested in that factoid. But anyway, so, I decided that's a great idea. I'm also curious to get a better understanding of Fiona and their background a bit, actually. So, let's pull up the chart I made so far. Now, this is gonna be part of a series, all right? This is a ongoing series, but I do just wanna show y'all what I found so far. Just a little tasting, a little sampling. That's Fiona right there, Fiona Pestana. All of this is public records. Not one of these things that I get from anywhere other than a public record, okay? Went to Archbishop Mitty High School, best supporting actress in a play, was on the debate team, speech and debate wild card, won outstanding female student of the year in 2017 at Archbishop Mitty. Also an athlete. I mean, so a very, very accomplished person right here. Very accomplished person. This, all this is public records. All this is public records. This is Fiona. That's Fiona right there on the speech and debate team for Archbishop Mitty. That's Fiona right there. It's Fiona right there. Okay. So around about 2017, Fiona graduates from the high school, goes on to USC Annenberg. I got a lot of different clips I want to show y'all. Had an internship at Spotify. The Spotify internship partnership with Annenberg started in like 2019. Fiona had one of 5 spots for the Spotify internship. Whenever Fiona was at the Spotify internship, there was actually a podcast with Amy Klobuchar. I mean, very highly connected type of person right out the gates, and probably deservedly so. I mean, it seems like they made really good grades. Seems like they're very talented. The beautiful voice of an angel. Music they make is beautiful. I mean, very highly capable and talented person. So really, I can't say real recognize real, you know, queen shit. I mean, queen. So, all right. So then I'm like, okay, but why does Fiona, here's my question. Why would Fiona be reaching out to literally random friends all the way from in my past and not to me? That is the question. If you're working on like a good faith article or a good faith podcast, it seems like you would really want to get the understanding of that person from that person themselves. And so it does set off my alarm bells. Why is this person reaching out to this random friend who I really don't talk to that much? I really don't communicate with this person that much. Then it was like, it brings me back to some of my first activism and organizing, pretty much ever. Something that I believe that Fiona and I have in common. Grassroots organizing for the betterment of we the people. I'll tell y'all, I was featured, and this is probably why Fiona is concerned about what I was doing. They probably found this article right here. Let me pull it up from the Daily Pennsylvanian from 2019. This is when I was a student at the University of Pennsylvania Law School, Ivy League Law School. And what had happened was, I'll tell y'all, it's a little TMI. I really don't like talking about this type of like TMI body function and all of that type of stuff. I think it's TMI. I think it's like keep it to yourself. But when it becomes a public health concern and a public health issue, I'll talk about it. When it's to preemptive strike on something that I believe is attempting to take down my reputation, I will say something about it. So Act 2 of this video, settle in. I'm going to just tell y'all an overview of some of my earlier activism work, some of the precursor to what I was working on and what I was doing before the Free Britney movement, which sort of primed me to being able to be established as a now global socio-political human rights organizer and movement leader. Okay. Do I work for anyone? Yes, the Lord. So there you go. Okay. So this is like a hard part of my life to talk about, honestly, because it was just tough. It was tough. Going to law school was very hard. Okay. It was just really hard. I, as a lot of y'all know, grew up in a trailer on a bayou. Okay. I had a pretty traditional evangelical upbringing. I grew up in a church, I grew up on the front, cut my teeth on a church pew of sorts kind of thing. Um, my dad dropped out of high school in the 8th or the ninth grade. He didn't finish ninth grade. My mom was like a B, C student and got pregnant with me like pretty much the summer after she graduated. I mean, within a year after she graduated high school, I was conceived. So my parents were very young, teenagers. Nobody in my family had gone to college. Nobody in my family had ever been a lawyer, anything like that. I mean, I was really a first generation college student. Then I went on to be a first generation law student. Now, unlike Fiona, I did not attend a high school which costs $29,000 a year. No, mine was free. In fact, so free, they kind of paid me to go there because I got free lunch. Okay, that's how poor I was. All right, we were on Medicaid. From time to time, we were on food stamps. It was a very impoverished upbringing that I grew up in, and I am proud of it, and I'm not sorry about it. Because as soon as I got old enough to start paying taxes at 15 years old, I sure did do that and paid back into the system. And I'm so grateful, truly. I am so grateful for the government programs that saved my life. I mean, okay, I'm just telling you a little bit of my background because Fiona wants to understand my background better and didn't bother calling me and asking about it. So here you go. Here y'all go for your podcast episode that you didn't bother reaching out to me about before reaching out to my personal friends. So I grew up poor, working class, we'll say, lower, lower of it. But, and a lot of times people will say these stories and they're like, but we always had everything we needed. We didn't. I didn't always have everything I needed. It was cold in my house in the winter. It was hot in my house in the summer. I have vivid memories of the electric man or the light man coming down our gravel driveway to turn our services off because of non-payment. I have vivid memories of vehicles getting towed out of the driveway of my trailer. I wasn't going to $29,000. This is what gets me. I was in the woke cult. Y'all know this. Some of y'all don't. I got fully indoctrinated into the woke demon cult. And I got wrapped up with it because I had good intentions. And truly, I believe Fiona probably does as well. Fiona seems to be very early in their career, 25 or so years old. I'm impressed with Fiona, honestly. I don't actually think it's Fiona who is orchestrating this investigation, to be clear. Okay. But in the time when I'm in the woke cult and all of that, I did get pulled into some pretty ass backwards ways of thinking. Yes, I did. And if you would have asked me at the time if I really thought those things, I would have said, yeah, and I would have meant it and I would have passed the lie detector test. It has taken some unlearning from being in that cult and some radicalizing of my own belief system to break free from those monsters who were trying to co-opt and control me. Okay. Now, all that to say, I grew up poor, poor. Okay. I worked throughout all of college. Most of the time, I had more than one job at a time, plus went to school full time. Because why? That's what it takes. That's the American dream. That's what you have to do. If you don't want to sell out, you don't want to sell your soul, you got to bust your ass every day you open your eyes until you close them, until you die. That's it. That's the secret. And that is what I did. That is how I got from a trailer on a bayou, born to basically teenage parents, a long line of teenage parents, to an Ivy League law school. And you know what? I didn't go to an Ivy League undergrad. I went to a public school, and I'm proud as hell of it. Go Tigers. Put myself through college, paid for almost all of my college myself, except for about $10,000 worth of my entire college education. It ain't USC. It ain't Dorn's life. But I liked it. And I would send my kids there. So it wasn't like after I graduated college with a degree in English and minors in German and linguistics that I all of a sudden just started making money. No, I had to go to more school like most millennials have had to do. Most millennials have had to go to more school after we went to the first school. I moved out of Louisiana. I moved into Boston. That's where I really started to become, I would say, indoctrinated into the wokeism world. And it was I'm not really ashamed of it, and I'm not embarrassed of it because it was meticulously orchestrated for specifically this purpose, like this movement. And look, listen, I'm not saying everybody that says certain things is in a cult. If the terminology woke cult resonates with you, then you do know exactly what I'm talking about. If it doesn't, maybe you haven't been exposed to it, okay? I'm not accusing anybody, okay? But they were saying stuff that really resonated with me. You know, I was going to the protests, I was going to the strikes, I was going to the when Donald Trump had put a ban on the Muslim country ban. I was at the Boston airport with signs. I was writing my number with a Sharpie on my arm, and I was ready to go down for the revolution. And let's be clear, today I still am. But it's not under the umbrella of the woke cult. It's under the umbrella of what's actually best for we the people. And I'm still, quote, unlearning a lot of the stuff that they indoctrinated me with. And y'all know this. This is something I talk about all the time. Not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed. So then I studied for the LSAT, the law school admissions test, for like 2 years because I do have learning disabilities diagnosed. All right. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't like to act like something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm perfect. Okay. But for this world that we live in, yeah, I do. I do. I have learning disabilities, plural. And it ain't just ADHD. So I was not able, I was disabled and still am from studying for this test like everyone else does. Most of my peers that I went to law school with, it's the number, I think, 5 law school in the world. Most of the peers that I went to law school with studied for this test, this LSAT, for like 3 months to 6 months. Some even only 2 months. Now, a lot of them could afford a private tutor and things like that, but I had not learned what I needed to learn at my Louisiana public high school. No, I did not. That was the school to prison pipeline. And I had not learned at LSU everything I needed to learn to pass the LSAT. I had to meticulously, diligently, strenuously, and painstakingly sacrifice all of my free time to study for this test. I did not study for 2 months. I did not study for 6 months. I did not study for 1 year. I studied for the LSAT for 2 years. 2 years. Why? Because I wanted to go to a top 10 law school, because I knew that in this matrix where we live in the capitalism structure, you have to. It's almost a waste of money unless you go to a top 20 law school, except for some extreme circumstances. Like if you go to a regional school and you want to practice in that region, you go to LSU, you want to practice law and in Louisiana, that's a great school to go to. You're not unemployable, you're completely employable. Okay, that there's exceptions, right? But I didn't want to be stuck to a region. And frankly, from being a poor white trash, I had a chip on my shoulder. I had something to prove. I knew for a fact I had every single thing it took to perform well at this school. I knew for a fact. I knew it. I knew money wouldn't matter. I knew intelligence wouldn't matter. I knew background wouldn't matter. I knew for a fact I could excel at the top law schools in the world. And in fact, I did do that. I did do that. So I studied. I studied and I studied and I studied and I studied and I cried and my body hurt. I have physical disabilities, which make it very painful for me. Joint condition called EDS makes it very painful for me to sit in a cold library for 8 hours in a row, 12, sometimes 16, but I did it. And the hard wooden chairs, and I did it. And in my mind, the whole time, I'm just imagining myself walking across that stage at graduation, knowing I did it. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. Nobody accidentally gets where they're going. You got to bust your ass or somebody appoints you. That's it. Sometimes both. And then y'all, after the test, I wasn't out of the woods. I wasn't out of the woods yet because then after I got my score, which was in like the 96th or 97th percentile of anyone who's ever taken that test, once I got my score, then I had to apply to schools. So I had to put together my application packages. I mean, in the law school world, what they're doing, they're having like $3 and $4, $5, $6,000 admission consulting packages. Experts that used to be deans of law schools and stuff, helping you put your things together, helping you say, oh, no, you don't want to say this. Oh, no, take this comma out. Oh, no, change your resume around, right? This is how it is. You remember the Varsity Blues where all the celebrities are paying to get their kids into school and stuff? At these high level schools for especially like University of Pennsylvania is where Trump and them went. So at these high level schools, a lot of rich and famous, powerful people have gone to these schools and they want their kids to go there. So they're paying in legal and sometimes illegal, like we learned with Varsity Blues, ways to get their kids into these schools. USC was one of those schools. I had no such legacy. Remember, I told y'all my dad didn't finish the ninth grade? He was a welder. Hmm. So thank God. And I do want to do this. I wanted to do a whole dedicated video to this, and I still will one day. But it is a perfect opportunity right now. I could cry. I'm going to cry thinking about it. Let me get my tissue because this was so life changing for me. There is a consulting firm, and I didn't know what these things were until I was applying for law school and I was on forums, basically Reddit and stuff like that. And I learned about these firms. And there was this one guy, he would do a lot of Q&A type stuff about how to put your package together to apply to these elite law schools, right? That's what I wanted. I wanted to go to one of the top 10 law schools. I just wanted to get in. So I would go to, because I was, remember, I was poor. I was at that time I was working either at a restaurant as a bartender, or I might have started working my first, like, non-industry job as legal assistant. But in any event, I was paycheck to paycheck. Okay. I did not have extra money, and it ain't like my family all of a sudden got money. No, we're all still broke. Okay. At that point. So there was this one consulting firm, Spivey Consulting, that is founded by Mike Spivey. And I don't remember where he used to work, but he was some type of admissions dean. And I knew that I needed to tell a compelling story in my personal statement. So I reached out to Spivey. And really, ideally, wow, how amazing would it have been if I could have afforded the whole hold my hand through the application process package? That would have been great, right? I mean, they do they will read your emails before you send them. It's like holding your hand. It's like very, very thorough, and it's not illegal. Now, some schools do ask. Yale, for example. I don't think I actually even applied to Yale because I couldn't afford it. But, I mean, I had to do a balancing test, right? For each school I applied to, I had to balance what's the chances I'm actually going to get in here. And Yale wasn't very high. I mean, it's hard for anybody to get into Yale with a perfect GPA and a perfect LSAT, and I had neither. But Yale will ask you, did you have help from a consulting service or whatever? I reached out to this consulting service, and I really would have liked if they could help me with everything, but obviously I couldn't afford that. I really couldn't afford nothing, or couldn't afford anything, really. This is such a hard time in my life to talk about, and it does just make me I've been trying to exercise more patience and compassion, but it makes me feel resentful to people like Fiona, because it feels I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm trying to practice patience and compassion. Also, I'm about 10 years older than Fiona, so who knows how Fiona's going to end up turning out. But it's almost like that same archetypical dichotomy of the rich, spoiled brat who had everything they ever wanted, who still needed to find something to be mad about their life, coming for the American dream underdog who has been doing nothing but fighting for my rights and my people since I've been on this planet. It's hard. I don't know anything about Fiona. That's why I'm investigating. I would like to have a better picture. I am going to call Fiona later today as well, since they got so many questions about me that they need to understand my background better. Hopefully they watch this video. I'm sure they will. But, Fiona's forcing me to remember these past versions of myself and the past that I've had to endure in order to become who I am today. I can't lie. It makes me feel a little bit some type of way, resentful, a little bit. Yeah. How dare? How dare this person? This 25-year-old who went to a $30,000 a year high school. Don't seem to me they're suffering from too many learning disabilities with winning outstanding female of the year at the high school and a star athlete. And it's just giving mean person. It's just giving mean adult. And why is it giving mean adult? How can I say this without it actually having come out yet? Because Fiona hasn't reached out to me at all. Fiona doesn't follow me on any social media that I can tell. But somehow Fiona went far enough into my past 5 years ago to find an article from when I was in law school of a project I worked on that actually truly seems to be right in line with what Fiona would love. It's just like, Imma call Fiona. I'll give y'all an update on what Fiona has to say, because I really wanna know what this podcast is about, and who's the podcast being produced for, and for what, and who sent Fiona. Because if Fiona was some type of stan, I would assume Fiona would follow me. Also, one of my disabilities is called dermagraphia. When I scratch myself, it leaves a mark. If you have that, you might have a histamine production problem. I don't have any problems, but if you look it up in the book, it'll say I have a disorder. I think it's just because 'cause I'm sensitive, and that's how I'm sensitive to that also makes me empathetic. That also makes me understand that Fiona's probably just out here trying to make a way for themselves in the world, okay? Don't worry, investigation is ongoing. Anyway, so back to me. Mike Spivey, this is not sponsored. Mike has no idea probably I even exist. I mean, this was like, I don't know, like 8 years ago whenever I worked with him. But he had mercy on me, had pity on me, and gave me for free, pro bono, a whole entire free admissions package. Mike, if you have occasion to watch this, that changed my life. It changed my life. It is hard to know whether I would have gotten into all the law schools I got into without the assistance from Mike and, the others that helped me at the company. But that was such an amazing, generous way, frankly, to make the whole world a better place, Mike. I mean, the whole world is a better place because I was able to get a UPenn law degree. I don't care who disagrees. The whole world is better. Everything about everything is better because I was able to even so much as put my feet in the halls of that hallowed institution. Shout out to Mike Spivey. Not sponsored. He don't know I'm making this video. I haven't reached out to him. He doesn't probably even remember, probably has no idea anything about what I'm up to. They help like, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of people a year. But yeah, the Mike and Danielle, she was a former Harvard admissions dean. They really held my hand and they really did. And I was very deferential to them because this was a world I didn't know. They were my guides into this world. I didn't communicate much with Mike. He owns the company, but it was actually Danielle who worked with me. And thank you, Danielle. I don't know if she still works there. I don't know. Thank you, Spivey. Thank you also, JY Ping from Seven Sage LSAT, because that was really how I got access. I mean, both of these guys, Mike Spivey and JY Ping. JY has a business partner whose name escapes me right now. But just as a side note, if you're applying to law school and you need to study for the LSAT in a serious way, like you want to really study, you want to understand what the people who write the test are thinking inside their mind. You want to know how much it matters between the lead, drag, how fast you can fill in a bubble. I mean, it's like that level of granularity. There is no better bang for your buck when I was studying for the LSAT than Seven Sage LSAT. Now, this has been years. This has been years, but it was the most affordable by far, and I was able to afford it. I became so active on the forums at Seven Sage LSAT. It was like studying for the LSAT was another full-time job I had. And I wasn't just studying practice problems. I was studying the psychology of the people writing the test. I was studying everything about it, and it worked. It worked. The first practice test I ever took, I think I made a 140 or a 141. And the highest practice test I ever did was 176 under time conditions. And I made a 169 on the final LSAT. And I really should have made a 170, but I erased a bubble with the right answer in it. And you could see it scanned on the thing. Oh, I'll never get over that. So I'm on the record, it was a 169, but really, I put the answers for a 170. They should have gave me that one. But whatever, it's a very strict test. Anyway, so fast forward with the help of the consulting firm, Mike Spivey, and frankly, with my own achievements, I am very impressive and very capable, clearly. Cream of the crop type shit, born in the trailer park or not, born on the bayou or not. I mean, I honestly think the bayou creates a higher quality individual from time to time. Anyway, I got into a bunch of law schools. The one I decided to go to was the University of Pennsylvania Law School, in part because they gave me a scholarship. Over $100,000 scholarship. Thank you very much. So, I say all that to say, once I got to law school, once I got there, culture shock, imposter syndrome, shell shock, all of it. I mean, during orientation, I excused myself from an event, a group event, to go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet fully clothed and pull my feet up just to cry because I felt so out of place. And to be clear and to be fair, everybody that was in my actual class with me was so nice to me. All the students at Penn Law School were never anything but nice to me. Most of the students at all of the University of Pennsylvania were nothing but nice to me. And I would say most of the faculty was nice as well. It wasn't like I was crying because people were being mean. It was because I felt out of place and not like I didn't belong. I had never been in a place that even kinda looked like this, and now I'm talking to people who are telling me they went to Cambridge, they went to Yale, they went to Oxford, they're Rhodes Scholars, like, people who had done things that I couldn't even, qualify to apply for, and it was like, I felt alone, I felt anxious, trepidatious, and fearful. I was afraid somehow of something. I always knew I had what it took intellectually. I felt uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be around these people and doing this type of small talk and, "Oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? Oh, you have an accent. Where are you from?" Girl, I had an accent for about 2 weeks of law school. The accent went right away. And that's something that you have to learn whenever you leave a low income environment, whenever you leave a low income, not like traditionally educated class or, almost caste. And you trying to level up, you gotta learn how they talk the talk. I've had people from time to time point out, "Oh, she has an accent when she feels like it and she don't when she don't." That's a very complex skill to have. Y'all need to learn what code switching is. You don't talk the same on your, job interview that you do to your mama. That's obvious. Everybody knows that. But you don't just develop these accents from nothing. You don't just pull them out of a hat. I had to learn how to talk like the people in the Northeast. I had to learn that mid-Atlantic accent. And when I first started making YouTube videos, I still felt that compulsion, obligation to perform that accent for people. And it was so ingrained in me that I think it was natural. It came natural because it's like if you're on a camera, you have to speak like they speak on TV. It took some, I'll say, unlearning. It took some unlearning. And if you watch my videos in 2 years from the one I'm making right now, it'll probably also be different because what life is change. If you're not changing, you're dying. And if you're dying, you're probably still changing. I mean, somebody said yesterday to me on a comment, "Please, I hope you never change because I love you just the way you are." And I like heart reacted it because I knew what they meant. But like, I hope they didn't mean, please never change because I will be changing every day, every day. And what I'm gonna be changing toward is going to be moving toward a closer version of my authentic self without the burden, obligation, or expectation put on me by anybody else. And in particular, whenever those expectations are nonsensical and not rooted in any real good reason. So, I get into a bunch of good law schools. I decide to go to the University of Pennsylvania. I start there, okay? Now, I did get a scholarship, which did reduce some of the amount of tuition that I owed. And the way that they do your money in law school is, you get loans. I also got loans from the government, the federal government. I got all these loans. And they give you like a lump sum at the beginning of each semester. And you got to pay all your bills with that. You got to get your books with that. You got to get your clothes with that. If you have a medical emergency, you got to figure that out, all of that. And in law school, not only, is it just absolutely not tenable to be able to work, at least the program I was in, but on top of that, they don't let you work. You're not even allowed to have a job. Now, some people did, but, that was not possible for me. It took a lot. It took a lot. It took a lot for me to just keep caught up with the readings, and, I was not always caught up with the readings. I mean, I'm not a very fast reader. That's one of my learning disabilities, actually. I'm very thorough, very precise. My comprehension is like genius level, but the speed is very slow. So it was difficult for me to keep up with the readings. I mean, it's like 1,000 pages a week or more of reading, and it's dense, dense reading in law school. Well, I'm already struggling, and it ain't 3 months into the time I started law school in 2017 before my dad, the person I had known as my dad my whole life, some of y'all know this, passed away unexpectedly, 47 years old, from a drug overdose. Meth, in case you're wondering. Highly stigmatized, highly, highly stigmatized, white trash, low class substance. I had known my dad struggled with addiction. I had known that his drug of choice was anything he could get his hands on. He seemed to be clean or, whatever. I don't really like using that terminology, but that's what he would have said. He seemed to not be on any substances whenever I saw him a few months earlier. I saw him in October, saw him a month earlier. The next month, he was dead. Out of nowhere. And I still had pretty much 3 years of law school left to go. I was in Philadelphia alone, broke, poor, by myself, in law school as a first generation college student, first generation law student, and at I don't know what it was at the time, top 5, 7 law schools in the world. Prestigious institution. The building's been there for several hundred years. Like Ben Franklin established the university or whatever. It's like, it's like, y'all can probably tell it's hard for me to talk about it. Every time I try to talk about this, I start crying because I haven't really fully processed just all the grief that I had to endure during that experience. It was hard. So one night I was at school, I don't know when, probably 2018, whatever. Maybe let's say it's the next year, whatever. And it's like, 10 o'clock at night or something. And all of a sudden I had we'll call it feminine hygiene emergency, unexpected. And whenever your nerves are bad, I mean, everybody knows hormonal balances can fluctuate and then you can have these unexpected necessities. Okay. I'm in the library. It's late. The library don't close for another several hours. I'm studying, I'm looking around. Everybody else is studying too. This is like the best of the best and everybody's working. Ain't nobody dilly dallying around. All right. It's like late and I'm studying and I go into the bathroom, the private University of Pennsylvania Law School library bathroom where I am paying, taking loans out from the government in order to attend, right? And I'm looking for one of those little vending machines, I twist the thing and it wants a quarter. Now this is the same campus that's trying to go cashless. All right. So I kind of, go out to one or two of my friends and ask them if they have anything I can borrow. And of course they don't. They're so sorry they don't. And they really didn't. It wasn't like they were like, no, like truly at law school, I wasn't the valedictorian. I wasn't the person people were worrying about. I was not the person people were worrying about making a better grade than them. Now, some of them should have been worried, but they weren't. It wasn't like I was getting treated like that. And I might have even asked a couple people for a quarter. I might ask a couple people for a quarter even. I don't exactly remember, but it was like I walked back into the bathroom and I'm trying to even put my hand up in there or whatever. And it's like, I pay to go here. I'm about to have to leave this school. There was a CVS across the street, but for some reason they were closed or something, or maybe they were open. They were open. I'm vaguely remembering this story. They were open. So I left the library to go to the CVS. And remember, I'm broke. I'm poor. I have no money. A box of products that I already had at my house was like $9.99 or something, like $10. And it was like, oh my God, for one thing, like that doesn't even, And then I'm in there looking around for travel, this and that. I don't even remember what exactly happened. I don't remember after that if I had to leave school or what. I mean, who knows? But I do know I couldn't just sit there, and I had to handle the situation, you know? And I just remember feeling like this is something that my, like, rich classmates would never have to think about. They would never, ever, ever have to think twice about swiping their daddy's credit card to buy a box of whatever, right? Um, and I just remembered I had a lot going on in my mind, okay? I remembered in that moment, the fact that those stupid things are in that stupid vending machine at all because of our tuition money. They're charging me a quarter for some that I already paid for. And it's like those cheap, shitty cardboard ones that nobody really wants. It's not the most comfortable experience. It's like emergency. I'm trying to just finish my studying so I can go home. And it just felt so profoundly unfair. And I'm like, they have us all in the front of these stupid brochures. First generation students, low income students find a place at Penn and all of that. But it's like they can't be bothered to actually support us. Like, I'm having to either spend $10. I know that $10 to some of y'all don't sound like a lot. And frankly, to me today, $10 is not the same value. It is not the same as it was in 20 whatever, 17, 18. I couldn't work. I couldn't derive an income. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I had no other way. So I had to budget. And it was like, this feels like one of those income inequality, invisible discrimination, not I shouldn't say discrimination, because discrimination, in my opinion, implies that it's somehow intentional. I don't think it was. I think it's just a lot of rich people that go to Penn, and some people are middle class, and even fewer people are actually from poor backgrounds like I was, and like I am. I did not go to a $29,000 a year high school, I can tell you that. Actually, the college I went to, I think, was like about $3,000 or $4,000 a semester for tuition. So the college I went to wasn't even 29,000 a year. So $10 was a lot to me. And I don't know, it just ignited a fire in me. It felt unfair that it wasn't I'm not talking about a public bathroom. I'm not talking about a city mandate. I'm talking about the private library that you have to have a University of Pennsylvania ID to even get in the building. Okay. We're paying $60,000, 59 or $60,000 a year to go there. Okay. And I'm like, these mother can't take some of that money I'm spending. I am spending the money. I am telling them that they should put just a few of those cheap, crappy, in case of emergency in the bathroom. And at the time, I had very many transgender friends. I still have those friends. They're still my friends. But, at the time we were talking a lot. We were there at the school together. There was some controversy over which bathroom they should use, shouldn't use, couldn't use. I had transgender friends who felt perfectly comfortable going into their a certain bathroom. Other transgender friends, for different reasons, did not feel that same comfort level, all of that. So, okay, fine. Let's solve that problem. Let's just put them in every bathroom, because if the boys in the boys' bathroom don't need them, they just going to sit there and collect dust, and it's my money anyway. It's our money anyway. I went out and priced how much these things would be, like 8 cents a piece. Okay. We talking about a university. Even the law school alone, I think, has $1 billion endowment or something crazy. The school has like a $10 billion. I don't know. I'll put it up here. Okay. We're not talking about putting tampons in the middle of a city park, all right? We're talking about a private school that is luring poor people to come there and then setting up a situation where the poor people and the disabled people are actually having a little bit harder time getting through it because we don't have access to that money. Okay. All right. All that to say, I worked on a pilot program, which is still in existence today, and I'm very proud of. It was featured in this article in the Daily Pennsylvanian, April 2019. UA, that's the undergraduate assembly, that's the student government, the undergraduate assembly, and the graduate student government, it's called GAPSA, the Graduate and Professional Students Association. So this is like, you have student government at your school. I was in student government when I was in law school in GAPSA. Now, one of the things I worked on was this project. We had a fund at GAPSA, and the UA had a fund as well. The fund was like open money that we could vote on. It was like a small little, it's basically kind of teaching you how to be a senator or a representative for constituents. And I was the constituent for the law school. I was voted along with one other representative. I think it might have been two other representatives, and you get representatives based on the amount of students at your school. So I was one of the three law school representatives of GAPSA. I don't know if I got into it my first year or my second, but I was involved in GAPSA, the student government. And I set up a pitch and I said, I want to allocate certain of our money from GAPSA to this program. And I didn't explain in as much detail as I told y'all just now, but I kind of said it would just be nice if some of the money that we have here could be earmarked for personal hygiene items, and moderately placed in the bathrooms around campus just to see, just to see. We'll see if they all, because one of the things administration was worried about was that it was going to be like people were going to take advantage of it and take like handfuls and handfuls of things. And I thought that this was an elitist mentality because I thought it was like her kind of saying like, well, people who can't afford and people who can't afford hygiene products are going to steal them. And I got into it with this woman, Monica Yant Kinney. She did not like me. She did not like me. I ran into that a few times when I was trying to actually change the status quo at the university. That's whenever the resistance and the people were not nice to me. They weren't nice anymore when I was really trying to change something. But all I was trying to do was make it a fair, equitable place for everyone to have the equal opportunity to succeed. I wasn't saying only poor people should have them, access to them. That's not what I was saying. No, it was not. I was saying if there is an emergency, people should not have to spend $10 for continuing to go back to study. Whenever the people who are, don't have, for whatever reason, don't have that particular health concern, they don't have to worry about it. So we set up this pilot program. And I worked with an undergraduate student from the undergraduate counterpart of the student government. This was a ally, a man, a boy, you know? And I thought it was so amazing that he didn't have really a dog in the fight as far as it was concerned, as far as, it never was going to affect him. But he had compassion and he cared about the issue. And he, I was like, I don't know, like 27 or something. Like I was 28, 29, maybe. I was like 28 years old. Like I'm an adult at that point. But this was like an undergrad, it was just cool. It was cool to work on the project. And just in, I think it was 2022 or maybe it was 2023, they finally came around to having our, little fake in the school graduation or whatever years later. And when I went back to the law school years later, they still had a little basket in the bathroom. And it was just like so sweet and like my mark. I had left my mark. And I remembered how much pushback I had gotten from this very small expense. It really shouldn't have been ruffling Monica Yant Kinney's feathers up that much, but she was really upset about me wanting to say this should happen. And it's just so obvious to me. Again, I'm not talking about city mandates. I'm not talking about public schools. I'm talking about a private school that we were all paying $60,000 a year to go to, and I'm poor. And there should have been no reason why the only option I had was either a quarter. And that's the thing too. I was like, can y'all at least put some e-scanners on there? Because that's another problem is they wanted a cashless campus and they had quarter machines in the bathrooms. Just stupid. But anyway, that's the story behind that. I'm very proud of it. I am honored, blessed, and fortunate to have been able to have built this platform that you're listening to me speak on right now, that most likely thousands of people are going to see this video within the first day that it's up. And I get to bring awareness and I get to bring light to the issues like this. I know when we're talking about hygiene products and bathrooms and issues of gender identity, it can become highly politicized and it can become, instead of thinking about real people, you're thinking about talking points. And I actually am grateful that I had the opportunity to revisit this victory from my past. And it can really, honestly, it's a little bit of a track record. And it shows that I have always had a propensity to stand up against injustice, to stand up against the stasis, status quo of these monumental, sort of megalithic institutions, including one of the oldest, not only educational institutions, but institutions, period, in the United States. So I have a track record and a winning streak. Even despite the resistance, even despite people saying that was something I should just get over it. Who cares? It's a quarter. Who cares? Go home. Who cares? Ask your friend to borrow it. Why are you bothering us with it? Despite the naysayers, I was able to implement a change using the resources and the network that I worked to gain access to. The reputation that I have now publicly established is for the people, is for the little guy, is for the underdog. So to Fiona, who is desperate, so desperate to know about my background off the record that they're running into my former organizing friends, hopefully this gives them a little bit more insight into my background and what motivates me. And hopefully it also is a little bit of a story time for y'all. Shout out to Mike Spivey again. Really, truly. I could say thank you in every video and I don't think it would be enough. And shout out to JY Ping. Shout out to those of you out there who are maybe didn't go to a $30,000 a year high school. Maybe you didn't go to USC. Maybe you didn't go to Penn. But you're doing what you can do every single day to make it a little bit easier for the people who truly deserve it. For the people who deserve to be where they're going, for helping them, giving them a hand up. I know personally I would never be where I am today if it weren't for those few people at those pivotal moments carrying me when I would have been fallen. And my life, my family's life, my legacy, and frankly, the history of humanity will be different because Spivey and J.Y. Ping made it accessible and affordable for me to access the information and the things that I needed to get into an elite institution where I deserved to be. I think hindsight's, 2020. It's very clear I always was one of the best and brightest. And the only way to go from here is up, no matter how many hit pieces are formed. So, like I said, this will be a series because it's an investigation. Because I'm just curious now why we're reaching out to my friends from 5 years ago. It's very weird. Without reaching out to me. That's what makes it weird. Reaching out to the friends is not weird. Reaching out to the friends and not reaching out to the person you're making the story about, and you telling the friend it's off the record just to get an idea of what makes them click or tick or whatever in the hell it was said. No, something's weird with this. So yeah, anyway, was associated and worked for a company for like 2 years called Crooked Media, which is founded by two or maybe all three of the people used to work on Obama's staff. One of them was like an Obama speechwriter, and it is very highly politicalized content, which I understand there is a place for that on YouTube. I personally try to not really take a political side. I think they're both deranged cults. No offense. If y'all take a side, I love that for you. You're allowed to have your opinions and all that. But no. But yeah, so this Crooked Media is a highly politicalized type of outlet. And just in June, Fiona went on a podcast to talk about why Trump and Republicans are obsessed with trans people. That was an interesting watch. Did some spotlight, day in the life person or something. Then there's some more Crooked Media here. There was this limited podcast series here with Yasmin Hamidi. She's funny. I like her. She did an interview with a furry.
But yeah.
Thank you so much, Vix, and have a good time camping.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch.
I'm gonna be a possum.
Incredible news.
And then Fiona said, hell yeah. So we'll be watching that furry interview. The furry that they interviewed plays demon games. This is a rabbit hole on the side. And then I don't know what is a furry. I'm still trying to figure it out because in this interview, this person was like the Vix person that Yasmin interviewed. Vix was like, Furry is anything you want it to mean. Anthropomorphized animal.
Okay, so you heard it here first, everyone. They do not use litter boxes in their bathrooms. So,
but furry is so broad and like has so many different types of people in it that it's not fair to just lump everybody into one thing.
Sure.
It's like furry is so different for me than it is for like one of my friends, as it is for, you know, somebody living in another country. Like
Yeah.
furry culture does change a little bit depending on what country you're in, what state you're in, what part of the community you're into, and everything. Even though, you know, some people are into the sexual aspect and they aren't, whatever. Just because, you know, adults are into something that makes them happy, that's not a reason to hate on people, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, as long as there's two or more consensual partners, partners in a given circumstances, I don't think it's anyone else's business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And do you feel like your gender identity?
I'm like, no, I think there's probably a definition. There's probably something, but is this a furry? I'm curious.
Furry is so broad and like has so many different types of people in it that
Anyway, so apparently they're no longer with Crooked Media. They're instead with Wondery, which is owned by Amazon. Okay, so we'll get into more of the web later, but y'all can see, you know, I can imagine why somebody over in there would want to be doing a hit piece on me. If you've been around this channel for a while, Amazon owns Wondery. Wondery, if you will recall, is where Fiona said they are employed. I am a podcast producer for Wondery. Okay. So Wondery is owned by Amazon. And who owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos, who's with Lauren, who's Kris Jenner's friend, who this one right here, I mean, all of them right here. I mean, pretty much everybody left of Lauren right now is trying to avoid getting criminally investigated, if you ask me. So that's an interesting little tidbit. Then we have the guy, oh my God, we have this guy here from Wondery. He's currently the head of production at Wondery, George Lavender. But when you click on George Lavender LinkedIn, it's actually this guy. I don't know which one it is. Is it a junior? Is it a senior? This George Lavender, though, was a professor, or rather an instructor at Annenberg whenever Fiona went there, right? 2016 to 2019. And Fiona was there 2017 to 2021. So I would imagine, since there's all these connections with Wondery, Annenberg, Fiona, and Greg, that they probably met during Fiona's time at Annenberg. I don't know. This is just what I have so far. We're going to be doing a series investigating. There was Spotify was in it, but then I did a face recognition search on this guy right here, Greg Lavender, who's the head of production at Wondery, which is where Fiona is claiming to my friend that they work. Why did the face recognition pull him up on a Russian protest in 2010 called the Police Massacre of Bolshevik? And also, the face recognition noticed him in an Israeli Times article from, this says 2022. So he's from Leicester, England. He didn't finish college, so I don't know what his degree is in. He's a YouTube podcast head of production at Wondery for 6 years. And I don't know if that's him. I'm just telling y'all what the AI said. The AI said that was him at this Bolshevik protest in 2010. And the AI said that was him at this protest in 2023. Who's this guy? I don't know. Is he in any way connected with this podcast that's being put together right now, which somehow leads into my former activism, which hasn't bothered to ask me a damn one single question about it? I'll find out. That's all I really had for today. Fiona. I really like Fiona. Y'all don't be mean to Fiona. Fiona, it's not too late. It's never too late to get out. It's never too late to stop doing stuff that contradicts with your conscience. And you can still be who you authentically are without being who everybody else wants you to be, who's squawking in your ear. You have a lot of talent. You have a lot of skills, and they're in a lot of areas. You do not have to sell your soul to this machine. I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you will. You don't have to sell your soul to this machine. Whenever you hear that small voice in your heart from when you were a little child in the pink bedroom, when you hear that little voice in your head saying, this don't feel right, I don't understand why they have me doing this, listen to it. Because they will chew up and spit out a valedictorian. That's their past. That's their favorite thing to do. It would not make this industry anything but happy if it ruined you. Words of advice. Take them or leave them. Do what you want. Free country. That's why I'm going to keep talking about what I want to talk about over here. Ain't nothing nobody's podcast, nobody's interview, nobody's article can do to stop me. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. And maybe hit up the person you're making the podcast about before you reach out to all their friends. It's kind of sketch. Love you, Mina. Okay, bye.
Hi friends, so I was thinking about this concept called a media diet, and just in light of everything that's happening, I feel like that is something that I've learned about in journalism school, and I feel like it's pretty simple and self-explanatory, but I also think it's valuable information to know, and I don't know how many people know about it, so I'm going to start off by explaining why I think it's important to discuss this during this time, what exactly it is, and how we can apply it to our lives and media consumption and production. So this is one of the first things I learned while in journalism school in college. Basically, it's just the basic definition is what you consume and produce. Mostly what you consume, but I think production matters in this case as well.
Welcome into my world. You're playing my game. Thought that you could come up and they're fitting off of my knee. Talking out the side of your neck like you're insane. Cortisol levels to the roof. Inflame. Kids these days so shameless. Selling out real friends for a paycheck. Mama didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad, but they failing. Step to the plate though. I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I ain't no Colleen ukulele ballager. Shots been fired. Wanna tell that? Say it to my face though. Now behind my back. Won't be long till you share it in the group chat. And when I call you up, you're gonna backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth.